It's weird to think about 8 years ago, this system here came into my life. This is my original launch day Nintendo Switch. I have modded it, I haven't exactly hacked it, but I've done a lot of stuff to it. I've played a ton of games on it. Then I got my Switch OLED. My wife got her Switch Lite, my daughter her Switch Lite. I got my Super Mario Switch OLED. I have been invested and loved this platform since it came out. And that is why we are going to talk about this here, the Nintendo Switch 2. The successor is finally here. Often rumored and didn't come out until just now. We're gonna go ahead in this video, we're gonna unbox this, we're gonna see how it comes out of the box, check out a few of the features, and compare it to both the original Switch and the Switch OLED. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're also gonna be doing unboxings on the Switch 2 Pro controller, and we're gonna actually show you like how to transfer your system data and a whole lot more. But before we could go ahead and film this, we had to get this. So let's take a look at some of the footage that we shot tonight at our local GameStop. So it's 10:24. I wonder if they're gonna open the doors early just because the weather is so crummy. I'm also just wondering, like, how many people are gonna be there? Is this gonna be a decent sized launch? Is it gonna be a nothing burger? I think looking at the parking lot from here, and you'll see in a minute, I think this is a pretty decent sized launch. Like, there's a lot of cars in this parking lot, and like, there are people waiting outside. Let's see if we can't interview and talk with some people. So what time did you end up getting here in Champaign, Illinois at the GameStop?
4:30.
And we've got some people lined up behind you. About how much longer was it before they got here?
They got here around 7:45.
So you were lonely for a little bit.
Yeah, it was all right.
Looking at the Switch 2, are you an existing Switch owner? Do you have a Switch Lite, a Switch OLED? What do you have?
I had a original Switch. I got an OLED. I lost it at work the other day, and I bought a normal Switch about 2 months ago.
Oh no! So, looking at what the Switch has got, or Switch 2 has got coming out for it, what did you pre-order along with the system?
I got Mario Kart, and I'm planning on pre-ordering Donkey Kong as soon as possible.
Very cool. Now, the version of the system that you went with, did you go with the bundle? Did you go with the system and then the cartridge separately?
I went with the bundle.
And was it just because it was 30 bucks cheaper?
100% yes.
Okay. What about Pro Controller? Are you going to use the Joy-Con 2s for a while?
I have a number of Pro Controllers. I have my Tears of the Kingdom one, and I'm good with what I have right now.
Very cool. And what are you most looking forward to on this?
Mouse controls.
Mouse controls.
For first-person shooters. Yeah,
do you
100%.
think we're going to get a Mario Paint?
That would be wonderful. That would be amazing.
Eric, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your Switch 2.
Yes, thank you, sir.
So you're out here, a fellow dad. You've got your two boys with you. Yep. Is this the first time they've come with you to a system launch like this?
It is. Yeah, yes, it is. The last Switch came out before my youngest was born.
Okay.
And then my oldest was pretty young then. So yeah, this is the first time they've came with me.
So do they have their own Switches? Do you have a family one that you all share and play together? Or have they never played the Switch before?
I got a Switch one at launch.
Okay.
Waited in line like I am tonight. And then a couple years ago, my oldest got his own Switch.
Okay. What are you looking forward to the most as far as sharing your gaming experiences with the boys?
Well, this is one of them. Yeah, I've waited in line for systems many times. Every Nintendo system since the Nintendo 64, I've waited in line for and been lucky enough to get. So that's one of the experiences I want to share with them. And then, you know, Nintendo's great with games that you can play together with your family. So.
I'm assuming probably are you doing the bundle? Did you do just the Switch itself?
Got lucky enough to get the Mario Kart bundle, yeah.
Okay, and Pro Controllers, you're gonna stick it out with the Joy-Con 2s?
So I love my original Switch Pro Controller, and I think that's supposed to work with the Switch too, I believe.
It is.
So I'm gonna be using that, and then we'll just use the packaged in Joy-Cons for now, and then might upgrade at some point.
Okay. Yeah. And speaking of upgrade, are you keeping your old Switches or did you end up trading it in?
Keeping. I'm awful. I keep all my old systems. I think I've traded in like one Game Boy at some point.
And how soon after you traded in did you regret it?
Did I regret it? Well, that was, I upgraded the Game Boy, I think it was the Game Boy Advance for the Game Boy SP that had the backlight. So I did not regret it. Much better with the backlight. But I think every other system I've ever had, I still have.
And final question, they have the GameCube controller coming out, but you can only get it from Nintendo directly. Did you happen to order one?
I did not order a GameCube controller.
Okay.
No.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, of course.
All right, well, we are officially in the store now. We're waiting our turn to get our system. It's almost time. So we just got our system, and taking a look here, they are still all the way to the back of the building. I don't think they're wrapped around anymore. Nope, looks like the end of the line here. So you are the last person in line.
I am.
What happened?
Honestly, here's what happened. I don't know if I'm gonna get one or not. I kind of just showed up. I don't know if they have any in stock.
Would you like the good news or the bad news?
Both. Why not? Let's hit it
So
with it.
good news is you can get one, but not tonight.
Not tonight.
They're not doing any sell-through. Basically, everyone in front of you, if they've got one pre-ordered, had to pay for it in full ahead of time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'll save you a little bit of time there. If you still want to hang out, please feel free. So what games are you looking forward to playing the most on the Switch 2?
Honestly, I'm just excited for the games that are souped up for the original games that are already out. Like I want to play Tears of the Kingdom. I want to play Breath of the Wild. I'm a big Zelda geek. Any Metroid games that come out, that's going to be huge. More cross-play ability, that's awesome. Elden Ring, bring it on.
Very cool. Thank you so much. Here it is. We got it. We're going to go ahead and throw it on the bench. Gonna unbox it. Here is the Nintendo Switch 2 box on the bench. It looks very similar to the Switch OLED's box, which I know some people have thought was not going to be a good thing. I like this design aesthetic. This is physically smaller than what the Switch OLED's box was. It is also a much different layout than what the original Switch's was. I don't think you're gonna have an issue with people confusing this box for the Switch OLED, simply because these are not gonna be on sales floors. You're gonna have to ask people to go ahead and get it. There's a look at that side, and on that side, and then on the back, just another shot of the Switch 2 going into the dock. Okay, do we have to flip down? It flips down. Ha 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 ha. So here we have the Joy-Cons and the system itself. And there's the right one. We'll take it all out of the plastic here in just a moment. Man, this thing feels huge. There's the Switch 2 logo on the back. And it looks like we have some paperwork and documentation. And then, okay, I'm glad to see this. And I want to talk about this for a little bit. So you do have the wrist straps that are color-coded. And they include an Ultra HDMI certified high-speed cable. So here's the thing. Once you get into a 4K system, any average old HDMI cable is not going to cut it. I like the fact that they do have a dedicated 4K or a high-speed Ultra HDMI cable in here. That should alleviate people having problems with the cables. This feels like the Joy-Con grip, and it is. Now this is not a charging grip, this is just a grip. Get a grip, man. And there is the Switch 2 dock. The bottom is vented. Was not necessarily expecting that. And let's see, it's got to pop off somehow. There you go. And you have USB-C here for the power, your HDMI output, and a LAN connector again. Dude, I don't care about LAN connections. Give me that extra USB. And then USB-A connections on the side. And that snaps together fairly nicely. Ooh, I don't like that though. Did you see how that deflects? Not a fan. And then here is a USB-C to C cable. Oh, so it's just a brick. It's not an integrated power supply. It feels heavy though. Let's see what our settings on this are. Looks to be very similar specifications to what the original Switch's AC adapter was. I don't like the fact that the prongs don't fold down. That's kind of a bummer. And then just the single USB-C port on the back. Now, one thing that's just recently come out in the last few days from Nintendo themselves is I guess they have already applied a screen protector film on the screen right from the factory, so that is a good sign. Now, if you do want an extra level of protection, we have talked about these here from Amfilm, and this is a 2-pack, and the nice thing is tempered glass screen protectors, and super easy to put on. We've talked about these again recently in our YouTube shorts. Then on the bottom, you do have your USB-C port for the dock. There is another one up top. You have your fan vents here too. Power, volume up, down. And then I'm still surprised to see a headphone jack on here, but nice. Oh, that's actually better. So there is a little opening here for you to get your thumbnail under to pop open the cartridge cover, which is nice. And then you do have the kickstand, which I really like the Switch OLED's kickstand. I'm not as big of a fan of this one. I mean, it can lay pretty flat. And then going into the dock, it feels fairly snug, but not terribly. And that could be one of the reasons why this has the wobble too, is on the original Switch, there were people who were complaining the dock was scratching their displays. This should not do that. Taking a look at the Joy-Con, and yeah, that is quite a bit larger than the original. So here we have my original Nintendo Switch Joy-Con on the right, the Switch 2s on the left. Obviously, ABXY button's much bigger, the plus button much bigger. Home button looks to be similar in size, but you do have this new C button, which is not on here, and no camera, although interesting, if you look at the molding, it's almost like they have thought about provisioning it for the camera on that side. The SL and SR buttons definitely bigger too. Yeah, this is still a terrible way to play. Now, a lot of people, myself included, thought that this was going to be another button on the back, but it's not. Now, a lot of people, myself included, when we first saw the mock-ups of this, thought that this was actually going to be another controller button, so you would have had 3 shoulder buttons. Nope, that's the eject mechanism, and you can see how it kind of pushes against the system. Interesting thing about the wrist strap is it's not just a wrist strap, it's also the guard for around the Joy-Con 2, so you can use it with the mouse controls. So that's interesting, the fact that it has the, kind of slider pads, for lack of a better term. And then how does that pop off? Just like that? Yep, just like that. And then it does also have your leash on it, so that way you won't break your TV while playing Nintendo Switch Sports. And you have, so all the commercials show it going in at an angle, and you can do that. There is a strip of color here, so it's not perfectly flush, and it does still have some Joy-Con wobble, but not nearly as bad as the original Switch. And then here's the left Joy-Con, same type of thing. Now, interesting, I just noticed this. I'm gonna eject. Yep. So if you look at that part right there, it just sticks out when it's coming in contact. I guess if you're a lefty, this would work for mouse controls, but beyond that, like, I don't see how that for a right-handed person would be good. And let's put on the left Joy-Con. It's heavy. It's a lot heavier than I kind of thought that it would be. It reminds me a lot of the Steam Deck, quite honestly. And as such, it's not something that I would probably play a ton in handheld mode. And just for comparison's sake, here it is next to my launch day Nintendo Switch. And then next to my Super Mario Edition Switch OLED. So it is a hefty, beefy boy, that is for sure. A couple final things we want to check out here is how does the Joy-Con grip feel? Slide that one in. Very strong magnets. It's still a Joy-Con grip. Any way you slice it, still terrible. I kind of wish these would angle out a little bit more. I mean, they feel smooth. They don't feel like they have a ton of travel, though, at least compared to like an Xbox or a PlayStation 5 controller. Now on the left Joy-Con, I did not point this out earlier, it's pretty much exactly the same functionality as on the original Switch and the Switch OLED. You do have your LED indicators here to show that player 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, depending on how many different controllers you have connected to the system. A couple other minor things I just wanted to check out real quick. With the Switch 2, will the original Switch fit in the dock? That is a negative. Will not fit in, or the original Switch or Switch OLED will not fit in the Switch 2 dock. Now here's my Switch OLED dock. Let's see. No go. So it'll be interesting to see if secondary docks for the original Switch will work with this, but this does not, does not line up. And then one final thing I did want to show you, just comparing the Switch 2 dock to the original Switch dock, and you can see the original Switch dock considerably narrower, considerably shorter. As far as ports and everything, you still have the 2 USB-A ports on the side, and at least with the Switch OLED, it's exactly the same as far as you've got USB-C, HDMI, and then your LAN connector on both of these. Now, compared to the original Switch dock, and yes, this is an original Switch dock, I've just put a different face on it. Link up there if you want to check out how I did that. And once again, it is considerably narrower than the Switch 2 dock, and shorter as well. Now, one thing on this dock is the fact that you've got your 2 USB-As and then another USB-A underneath here, but there's no Ethernet port. For me personally, this is the preferred configuration. I don't want or need a LAN connection. So for me, I like this better than this. One final thing, it does have the little LED here to indicate that it is getting power from your television. So nice dock. It is big though. I would almost like to see it, a little bit narrower, but I understand too, they're trying to protect the display. Time for some final thoughts. So I got everything hooked up. Now, one thing of note that I did find out, you cannot use the original Switch power supply with the Switch 2. That is bad form on Nintendo's fault. This is one of those things that people, if they're expecting them to replace their original Switch with the Switch 2, make it easier for us to do that. Being able to just hot swap the cables, that would have been so much easier. Instead, now for someone like me, I'm gonna have to look at getting another dock because I need to be able to use it here and in my family room, and I'm not disconnecting or reconnecting it every time I do that. That is dumb. Above and beyond that, who still uses light for their theming on anything? Dark mode should be the default. I do like the look of the icons, very sharp looking here. And other than that, I mean, it looks like my Nintendo Switch or Switch OLED, just a little bit cleaner. Now, we are going to do some gameplay trials and whatnot, and kind of review it later on, but this is how it comes out of the box and everything. Overall, pretty simple and straightforward. It was interesting. There was no, like, quick start guide. It was on the system, and it walked you through that. One other minor thing, too, is this is a 4K TV, but it does not do HDR, and I think I just have an HDMI 1.3 cable going to my switcher box. I want to see here for setup what it is allowing me to display for video. Display, HDR, I'm going to turn that off. Resolution, automatic. Yeah, so it is limiting here because of the cable to only 1080p. I have to put a new 4K compatible cable in here to go ahead and unlock that. I'll use the one from Nintendo. I do have some other 4K cables upstairs in the game room, so I should be okay there too. Overall, pretty simple and straightforward. It's now downloading the rest of my content to go ahead and be able to play. Let me know what you think of this down below in the comments section. Did you pick one of these up? Are you waiting to pick one of these up? And we've got a lot more that we are going to be testing out here in the near future. Controller compatibility, third-party docks, if they will work at all, how this works with capture devices, and more. Now, if you do want to check out some of the other videos that we've done on the Nintendo Switch 2, we have our playlist. I will have a link for you right up in the upper corner. I'm sure you're going to find something here you're going to like.